Welcome to one of the fastest growing sports YouTube channels out there, Gold and Blue Dude, and today we're going to talk about the grades that each power conference made in their first week of college football in 2021. Let's go! Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Gold and Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. While you're here, go check out my good friends at tristatewoodsketch.com. All you have to do is send them the picture, and they'll sketch it on the wood. They do great work like coasters, pictures of all shapes and sizes, family photos, and if you're willing to pay a little extra, something like this. Mention Gold and Blue Dude and you'll get 20% off your order. If you make an order by phone, he'll give you 30% off if you mention Gold and Blue Dude. I'll leave their phone number in the description of this video. Also, don't forget about my score prediction contest. Every single week you have a chance to win $20. If we get enough Patreons, I'm going to raise that to $50. We already had winners for the first week. All you have to do is go over to my Patreon page, join my Patreon page, and you're eligible. If you join the $4.99, you get one prediction every single week. If you join the $9.99, you get two predictions every single week. And if you join the $19.99, you get four predictions every single week. And we're going to run this contest throughout the entire college football season, and you can win as many times as you want to. This week's game is going to be Oregon at Ohio State. As a tiebreaker, because we had a tie last week, I'm going to pick a second game, and that's Iowa at Iowa State. So give me your predictions of Oregon and Ohio State and Iowa at Iowa State and see who wins $20 this week. Possibly 50 if we can get enough Patreons. Let's go, guys. Now it's time to talk about the grades that I gave the Power 5 conferences in week 1 of college football this year. First, let's talk about the Big 12. Well, overall, the Big 12 went 8-1, so not a bad win-loss record. Kansas beat South Dakota 17-14. Oklahoma survived Tulane 40-35. Iowa State also survived Northern Iowa 16-10. Texas definitely helped the Big 12 this week. They stomped number 23 Louisiana 38-18. Texas Tech beat Houston 38-21. Oklahoma State survives Missouri State 23-16. Baylor edges Texas State 29-20. And TCU demolishes Duquesne 45-3. Then there's West Virginia, the one loss. West Virginia loses to Maryland 30-24. You didn't help the Big 12 this week, West Virginia. So I give the Big 12 a B- because that one loss and barely beating teams that they should have stomped. You can do better than that, Big 12. Come on. Next up, the Big 10. Now, this one's a little tricky because 5 of their games was between each other. Illinois upset Nebraska 30-22. Ohio State took care of Minnesota 45-31. Michigan State looked impressive against Northwestern 38-21. Penn State upsets Wisconsin on the road 16-10. Iowa flat out obliterates Indiana 34-6. But in their non-conference, they went 5-1. Michigan takes care of Western Michigan pretty easily, 47-14. Rutgers whoops Temple 61-14. They looked good. Nebraska all over Fordham 52-7. Like I mentioned before, Maryland beats West Virginia 30-24. Purdue beat Oregon State 30-21. And Illinois follows up an upset win over Nebraska by losing to UTSA. So I'm giving the Big 10 an A-. They went 5-1, looked pretty good doing it, but Illinois, you dropped the ball and lost to UTSA. Up next, the Pac12. In non-conference games, they went a whopping 7-6. You can't put it on UCLA because they did amazing. First, they beat Hawaii 44-10. Then they upset number 16 LSU 38-27. Well done, UCLA. Utah beat Weber State 40-17. Number 25 Arizona State whooped up on Southern Utah 41-14. Colorado took care of Northern Colorado 35-7. And number 15 USC took care of San Jose State 30-7. After that, nothing great to talk about. Number 11, Oregon barely beat a Fresno State that everybody thought that they were going to whoop 31-24. Stanford gets demolished by Kansas State 24-7. Oregon State gets handled by Purdue 30-21. Cal gets beat by Nevada at home 22-17. BYU takes care of Arizona 24-16. Utah State beats Washington State 26-23. And freaking number 20 Washington gets beat at home by FCS Montana 13-7. Pac-12, this was a horrific start for you to the college football season. You went 7-6. Didn't look good at all. I'm going to give you a D. I was tempted to give you an F, but you are one game over 500 in the non-conference games. So a D it is. Speaking of horrific, next up the ACC. They went 6-5 in their non-conference games. Very, very bad. And their 3 top teams got beat. Their one conference game, number 10 North Carolina at Virginia Tech. North Carolina lays an egg and gets beat by Virginia Tech 17-10. That doesn't help the ACC. I know you're excited, Hokie fans. That definitely didn't help your conference. Here's the few bright spots for the ACC. NC State blanks USF 45-0. Wake Forest disposes of Old Dominion 42-10. Boston College blanks Colgate 51-0. Pitt has no trouble with UMass 51-7. Syracuse takes care of Ohio 29-9. And Virginia blanks William and Mary 43-0. Here's the bad news for the ACC. Louisville loses to Ole Miss 43-24, and it wasn't competitive. Miami gets embarrassed on the national stage by number 1 Alabama 44-13. But hey, at least they can say it was Alabama that killed them. Number 3 Clemson doesn't score one single offensive touchdown and gets beat by number 5 Georgia by a pick 6. 10-3. You talk about a boring game to watch, that was the boring game of the week, and it was supposed to be the most exciting game. Duke is always good for a loss. They lost to Charlotte on the road in upset fashion 31-28. And then there's Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech gets beat by Northern Illinois 22-21 at home. ACC, you're right there with the Pac-12. You get a D. I was tempted to also give you an F as well, but I'm going to give you a D because you are one game over 500 in your non-conference. ACC, you're kind of lucky that I didn't count the Notre Dame versus Florida State as a non-conference game because Notre Dame is affiliated with the ACC. Now, when Notre Dame plays somebody else, it doesn't count for you, ACC. But when they play against you, I don't count it as an out-of-conference game. So you're lucky to not be 6-6, right at 500. You would have gotten an F for that, but still, terrible. Last and certainly not least, in fact, the cream of the crop, the SEC. They went 12-2 on opening weekend in their non-conference games. This was incredible to watch, guys. Really, their only two down spots was A, Vanderbilt being Vanderbilt. They lost to East Tennessee State at home 23-3. And then number 16, LSU goes on the road and gets upset by UCLA 38-27. So really, LSU was the only team that dropped the ball because Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt. But everybody else did amazing. Tennessee whooped Bowling Green 38-6. Alabama blasted Miami 44-13. Georgia took care of Clemson 10-3. Texas A&M really no issues with Kent State 41-10. Florida all over FAU 35-14. Kentucky takes care of UL Monroe, no problem, 45-10. Arkansas beats Rice 38-17. Mississippi State barely escaped with a 1-point win, 35-34, but hey, still a win. Missouri disposes Central Michigan 34-24. Auburn all over Akron 60-10. Ole Miss really no trouble with Louisville 43-24. And South Carolina blanks Eastern Illinois 46-0. I'm giving the SEC an A in opening weekend. Now if it wasn't for LSU, you would have actually gotten an A+ because I'm willing to give Vanderbilt a pass. But LSU, you dropped the ball and you cost the SEC an A+. But still, an A, cream of the crop, best conference in opening weekend. The rest of you Power 5 conferences, you have to step up if you want to stop hearing SEC, SEC, SEC. Because if this keeps happening, they're going to keep chanting it, and you're going to have to take it. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.